Dr. Chipman, Defense Ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Foremost, allow me to thank the IISS for the invitations to participate in the Shangri-La dialogue and deliver Secretary's view on finding common grounds on regional security. As is widely acknowledged, the regional security architecture is evolving, with more complicated security challenges emerging while other security challenges persist. States must deal with these challenges in partnership with other states. Indeed, the need to deal with these challenges is foremost driver for cooperations. Yet, while states find it relatively easy to cooperate in dealing with some of these challenges, cooperation becomes difficult because of fundamental differences of views. Let me start with those that make it relatively easier for states to cooperate. This includes piracy, armed robbery at sea, natural and man-made disasters, to include typhoons, earthquakes, and pandemics, smuggling of trafficking of persons and illicit drugs, cyber challenges, as well as terrorism and violent extremism. It is dealing with violent extremism that the Philippines currently finds itself preoccupied. Since last week, our armed forces have been battling the Maute group with its recent attacks and atrocities in southern city of Marawi. This militant group seized large parts of Marawi, displaced thousands and killing several individuals, prompting President Duterte to declare martial law in Mindanao to ensure that this group will soon be eliminated or destroyed to bring back peaceful life of the Marawi residents. Consequently, the armed forces of the Philippines has been conducting surgical airstrike against the extremists while rescuing the hostages and safeguarding civilians. The Philippine government remains resolute in resolving this issue and bringing humanitarian relief to displaced residents. At this point, please accept our appreciation for the support that our regional partners have conveyed in their readiness to assist the Philippines if necessary and warranted. It is also in this context that we are working closely with Indonesia and Malaysia through our trilateral maritime cooperations, as the fight against terrorism or violent extremism is not only a problem of a single country, but the region as well. Our trilateral efforts complement the initiatives of ASEAN. Meanwhile, we need to further strengthen our bilateral intelligence cooperation with our partners for us to acquire timely information essential in preventing terrorist attacks. It reaffirms ASEAN's centrality by enabling us to focus on addressing a particular issue which contributes to ASEAN's community building projects. Our three countries have had a long history of cooperations. Not only does the Philippines have border patrol agreements with Indonesia and Malaysia, signed in 1970s and 1960s respectively, but the former defense minister of the three countries met informally in 2012 in Cebu, in the Philippines, as a matter of exploring cooperative activities in the South China Sea. We hope to further implement this initiative with the launching of the Trilateral Maritime Patrol later this month. Cybersecurity is also a grave concern. Aside from the fact that the cyber domain is used by extremist groups to recruit members, There are reports regarding malicious softwares that prevents users from accessing their files until a ransom is paid. As cybersecurity challenges transcend boundaries, so must our efforts go beyond our respective national borders. In these regards, we would like to express our appreciations to our ADMM Plus partners for supporting the Philippines' initiative to establish the ADMM Plus EW on cybersecurity. Together with our co-chair, New Zealand, we look forward for the first activity of the EWG in Manila in July, where we hope to develop a common understanding on cybersecurity challenges and explore ways to address them. When it comes to HADR, I could recall that when the Philippines was hit by the Super Typhoon Hainan in 2013, we have experienced one of the worst and strongest typhoons in history. While we lost 1,000 lives and properties during the said typhoon, it was an opportunity for our bilateral and multilateral partners to extend their assistance in response and rehabilitation phases. In instances like these, we become one as we help one another. Finding common grounds to cooperate in dealing with other concerns, however, becomes more challenging because of the divergence of views. This will include territorial and maritime disputes, such as over the South China Sea. The legal regime covering this issue is undermined by differing interpretations on the rule of law, which makes cooperation on this matter challenging. Having said that, our commitment for a safer and stable seas is manifested on how we deal and engage our neighbors and partners while we abide by international laws. On this note, we welcome the completions of the draft framework on ASEAN-China Code of Conduct on the South China Sea, as this brings us one step closer to a COC. Complementing this effort is the defense sector to have guidelines to avoid untoward incidents and accidents at sea that would occur due to miscalculation. Open dialogue and practical collaborations through activities that would yield practical benefits while serving as confidence-building measures should be sustained. Examples are joint research initiatives. States should be consistent and not selective on complying with international law. Moving on the issue over Korean Peninsula, divergence of views on the effect of possessing nuclear weapons makes the situation difficult. North Korea insists that it has an inherent right to possess these weapons, and they are necessary for its security. However, as the rest of the international community sees it, the DPRK's possession of nuclear weapons not only undermines the non-proliferation regime, but creates insecurity for the rest of the region. The Philippines joins the international community in calling for a complete, verifiable, and irreversible denuclearization of the peninsula. Given all the security challenges our country today faces, cooperation should be pursued on the basis of consistent adherence to international law and rule-based regime, respect for sovereignty of other countries, sustained dialogue and coordination to minimize misperceptions, and most importantly, recognition that the imperative for cooperation outweighs competition. For the Philippines, it is our trust to increase collaborations with partners through bilateral alliances and partnership, trilateral arrangement, and multilateral platforms. The Philippines sees its alliance with the U.S. as a cornerstone of our defense policy. We currently have defense agreements with 23 countries, to include status of visiting forces agreement with the United States and Australia, which allows us to conduct military exercises. We intend to substantiate our existing defense relation while being open to new partnerships based on mutual interest. Recently, we have seen improvements in Philippines-China defense relations, as well as the commencement of the Philippines-Russia defense cooperations. We believe that a robust engagement among ASEAN-Pacific states will contribute to the maintenance of regional security and stability. Let me stress that our alliance and new partnership are not targeted against a particular state. They are simply anchored on mutual interests and concerns. This year is especially important for ASEAN and the Philippines in particular, as we chair ASEAN on its 50th year. With the establishment of the ADMM in 2006, ASEAN defense establishments have gone beyond dialogue and moved to practical cooperations. After only a few years, we have expanded our cooperations with other Asia-Pacific partners through ADMM+, enabling the defense sector to substantively contribute to the ASEAN political security community. Through the ADMM+, we exchange best practices and conduct exercises and activities. The Philippines look forward hosting the 11th ADMM and 4th ADMM+ in October 2017 in Manila, anchored on our trust to streamline mechanisms and improve effectiveness and efficiency of our working processes. To ensure optimal utilizations of our resources, we are seeking ways to promote synergy among related ones. We have also proposed new guidelines on how the ADMM will engage its plus partners and how to engage partners currently outside the ambit of the ADMM+. Also included are principles and guidelines for maritime interactions and education and training, exchanges among ADMM member states. We also initiated means of enhancing the linkage between the ADMM and Track 2 mechanisms. Other defense-related platforms, such as those under ASEAN Regional Forum, need to be reviewed to promote our meaningful cooperations among participating countries. The regional security architecture continues to evolve. While we all have active and robust engagement with one another through various channels, there are still points of consideration for the future. We have been able to undertake cooperation and on non-traditional security concerns, considering that such issues were widely accepted as a common concerns that requires collaborations. However, we must also be able to begin tackling hard security concerns. We can no longer afford to keep them in the back burner. Thank you, and pleasant good morning to all of you.